Hello and welcome to the Business Purpose Trends podcast. I'm Phil Preston and this is a weekly update of not more than 10 minutes, giving you the latest insights and trends for modern business leaders. The topic today is why Chief Sustainability Officers rule. And to give you a little bit of background and context for this, the private sector accounts for about 75 to 80% of GDP or economic activity in most developed countries. So 3/4 or more of economic activity really is coming from the private sector. And with global issues playing out, we're going to be relying on business to help turn things around. Climate change and what you name it. There's a whole lot of things we're dealing with. And therefore what that means is we're going to need sensible governments to put in place policies and regulation and set the guardrails in the right place. And business will need to innovate and implement within those guardrails. Business certainly can't solve every problem. There's market failure where governments, not-for-profits and citizens step in. But I just want to make the point that given the scale of challenges we're facing, it's not business or government sorting this out. It's business and government and society. And with increasing recognition of this dynamic, we're seeing it play out in businesses and in markets. So the role of the Chief Sustainability Officer, or CSO, has gone up and will keep on going up, in my view, from maybe the lower levels of the building to the very high levels of the building. I was going to talk about this because it's the focus of a current Harvard Business Review magazine article, and it reflects conversations I've been having with Chief Sustainability Officers, or CSOs for short. In a nutshell, sustainability has really historically been very much about the environmental side of things. So about the E in ESG, so ESG being environmental, social and governance factors. And the implications of global issues means that this has been broadening from E into E and S and maybe G for companies, and therefore businesses need to be more aware of a broader group of stakeholders than they have in the past. And helping the right stakeholder groups in the right way is what is really driving profits and growth now and into the future. It's not about making money and giving a little bit back. This is putting, purpose and understanding your positive impacts on society at the core of your business. So the role of sustainability officers has been rising in line with that trend. But historically, sustainability has often been viewed very much as a cost center or a cost drain, and has been a little bit peripheral to the main strategy or operations of a corporation. It historically has been more about managing risk than it has been about revenue or growth opportunities, and that means influence has historically been limited. But with the pace of change now, especially in the change in consumer, customer and employee preferences, the principles of sustainability are highly valued, and if you have experience in those roles, very highly valued in the corporate strategy process. And just the other day, I was talking to a CSO who was deeply ingrained and helping to finalize their company's strategy. A couple of key points from the Harvard Business Review article. Three, first off. One, the CSO should be involved in strategy and capital allocation. Number two, they should be more fully engaged with investors. And number three, they should be supported with sufficient resources and expertise, especially from the board and the senior leadership team. There's an example given in the article where they talk to the CSO at Unilever, and in their role, they report directly to the CEO, and their job is to ensure that sustainability is at the heart of the company's strategy and integrated throughout the entire organization. And they say their business case for sustainability being elevated in this way is built on four things. Number one, growth. So consumer preferences are changing, therefore sustainability plays a role in that growth equation for them. Number two, trust. So transparency for customers and other groups in society is really important now. Number three, risk. So this is about securing supply chains and increasing operational integrity. And number four, costs. Sustainability can be a driver for improving efficiencies and lowering costs. Just think about, say, treatment of waste or reuse of waste can be much more efficient than dumping it somewhere and paying for that privilege. I've got to admit I'm a bit of a fan of Unilever, and you'll hear more about them here and there from time to time. But I guess this raises questions for you if you're part of a large organization or you deal with large organizations in your everyday business. Is the role of the CSO suitably elevated? And if not, what risks or limitations are going to flow on from that? So it's interesting also that a Deloitte 2023 survey of Gen Zs and millennials found when they asked them which areas they feel they can drive positive change in within their organizations, sustainability ranked at the bottom of that list. So a lot of people feeling disempowered on that front in general, but I would say that CSOs are on track to rule the world. As Tears for Fears said, everybody wants to rule the world. That includes CSOs. Thank you so much for tuning in to this first and inaugural episode of the Business Purpose Trends podcast. I'd love to get your views, share anecdotes, any data or alternative views you have. Stick to alternative views. I don't want alternative facts, but alternative views are very welcome. There's a link in the show notes if you want to provide me with some feedback, and may your day be very purposeful and that you're on the right side of the trend. I'm Phil Preston. Thanks for tuning in.